So let me remind you like what we were actually doing. So this is our AWS cloud. And in this, we created one VPC. Then I created 2 subnets and I wanted you guys to create rest of the subnets. So anyone did try or not? Okay, so even you had last weekend available, you didn't try. Okay. So 2 public subnet and 2 private subnets. Why I created 4? Because our work could be done in one pair of public and private, but as we need a RDS. So RDS is on when we have at least 2 different availability zones. Okay. So for that purpose, we had to create this particular public private subnet pair. Okay. 2 subnets pair. Okay. So till now we had done all these things like creating the VPC, creating the subnets, then creating the instances, okay, front-end instance, and then the back-end instance like web and application server. So these things we already completed in our previous sessions. So now we will learn some more concepts related to Terraform and we'll go ahead and create our instance, our RDS service. Okay. So this is the agenda of today's session. So first, I will make some changes in our already available configuration file. Then we will create RDS and then we also launch a load balancer. Okay. So everything will be, till now we have web server in public subnet and other resources in private subnet. But after few configurations, we will have load balancer in public and all others will be in private subnet. Okay, even our web application will be hosted in private subnet only. So that part we will look into it. Then we will create route 53. Okay, so sorry. This is good for route 53, right? So then we will create route 53. So this is what we have planned. So DNS will be managed through route 53 till database. So it is 3-tier architecture and we will be having everything. Networking, we have seen a lot, VPC, subnet creation, routing, internet gateway, and route 53 we will see, load balancer we will see. So with Terraform, you are also understanding the concept of AWS cloud here also. Okay. So coming to our previous demo, like in demo 3, in this project, we created EC2 instance, learned multiple concepts in the Terraform, like for each, and then lookup, element, these functions we learned. We learned data block and all in this particular sections, right? So now today we will be starting from the point where we left. Okay. So I told you in previous session that when we have to create multiple ingress, right? So here we are creating multiple ingress, writing the same thing again and again, but we can make use of something which will help you to not repeat yourself again and again. Okay. So there is a concept which is called as dynamic block. Okay. So dynamic block in Terraform. So that we will understand first. So if you have to repeat yourself again and again, like in this security group, we are creating this ingress block twice, right? Twice we are creating. So for this purpose, instead of writing this ingress block 2 times, we can use dynamic block and that will iterate 2 times. Okay. So let's look into this dynamic block. What is this? So this is the document available related to dynamic blocks. So you can make use of this. Okay. You can, on your system, you can click on this and look into the document. So in dynamic block, within top level block constructs like resources, expressions can usually be used only when assigning a value to an argument using the name equals to expression form. This covers many uses, but some resource types include or repeatable nested blocks in their arguments, which typically present separate objects that are related to the containing objects. So same thing which I have explained you here, that some arguments would be required to repeat multiple times. So that by default you will have to write it multiple times, but you can make use of dynamic block and that will iterate through the each element. Okay, so you can dynamically construct repeatable nested block like setting. So in this case it is setting. If you are working with AWS Elastic Beanstalk environment, so there you will have to have a setting block that will be a setting argument that will be like repeated in number of times. Okay, so that also you can do with this dynamic block, similar to this ingress. Okay, so yes, so setting uses a special dynamic block type which is supported. So dynamic block is supported in which blocks? Okay, so it is supported in resource, data, provider and provisioner blocks. Okay, so in all these blocks this particular dynamic block is supported. Dynamic block is nested block. Okay, nested block is something which is inside a block inside a block. Okay, it cannot be a top level block, but it can be a nested block. So top level, if we have top level blocks, resource, data, provider and provisioner, so within that we can make use of dynamic blocks. Okay, so a dynamic block acts much like a for expression. So for expression is what? So when you are using a for loop anywhere, so what it does, it iterate through each elements, right? Whatever you are passing. So that is what a dynamic block also used to do. Okay, so we will see here how can we make use of this in this particular scenario. Okay, so let me remove all of these. Let me keep one and delete one. Okay, and use this particular thing dynamic. Dynamic, what is the syntax? We have to use double quotes. So ingress is the argument, right, for which we are passing different values. Dynamic ingress. Now it takes for each. Okay, it make use of for each. As I told you, it is for expression, acts much like a for expression, and it also inside use this for each meta arguments. Okay, now for each we do not have to pass any dictionary, we have to pass normal value. Okay, so var dot ingress. Okay, we will define a variable and we will make use of that variable ingress. We will name it ingress and we will make use of it. It can be anything. Okay, but for understanding purpose I am giving name ingress. This ingress and this ingress is different. This ingress, this particular ingress is the argument. Okay, like egress, we had ingress which I removed, so it is same ingress. Okay, for each will iterate through, like we have port 80, we have port 22, so we can define it as a variable and from there we can call it. Okay, so for that purpose we are taking here variable. I will show you how we are creating variable block. Okay, then this is the syntax. Okay, this is the dynamic, then the argument you will pass, then curly brace start, for each you will give, and this for each will take the variable. Okay, like in our case it is ingress, that will pass port 80, port 20, all those things, and then the content block will be there. Okay, so another block inside this dynamic block will be content block. So this is the syntax of this particular dynamic block. Okay, you will have to remember it, or you can refer a document. Means it is not like anything technical, it is like this is the syntax. Okay, this is how it is, you have to define it. Okay, so ingress block, what all it takes? So we know ingress block takes these parameters: description, from port, to port, protocol, CIDR blocks. Okay, so these things we need to pass. So now, right now we will not be hard coding it. because we are making use of dynamic block, and you should always take care of the indentation.
Hi. Please take a few seconds to like this video, ask your doubts or questions in the comments. Our trainers will answer it. Your response helps us to post more videos on this topic. More likes we get, more videos we can post. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
To make it readable. Now this will not be hard coded because one time it will iterate for port 80 and one time it will iterate for port 22, right? So everything we need to pass from this variable. What is that variable? So ingress. So ingress dot value, whatever is this, so that you will take, then value, and then the whatever is the value. I will show you how we are defining the variable and all. Okay. So for now, first let me define the variable only so that it will be more clear to you guys. Till now, any doubt from this dynamic section? Any doubt till now? Guys, please speak up if you have any doubt. Okay, so everything is clear. Fine. So this is our dynamic block. This is the syntax of dynamic block. Now we will define a variable. So let's create a variable block. var.tf, I am naming it var.tf. Let me make it more meaningful. Let me make it variable. Yeah, variable.tf. Fine, that's not a problem. So variable block. Okay, so in this section we are also going to understand a variable block. What is variable? So variable block is a top level block. This is the syntax, and this is the value. This is how you can define the block variable, and you can give a name. So here in this case, what name we have given here? So ingress is the name which we provided. So you will have to take it here. Ingress is the variable name. This is how you reference a variable, and this is how you create a variable. Okay. Now it takes some arguments. So default, description, sensitive, type, validation, all those things. So description, you can give like any description of your choice for understanding purpose, that what this variable is actually for. So variable for security rule for public security group. Okay, fine. This is the description. Next thing is sensitive. Okay, so sensitive, by default it is false. Okay, and if we have some sensitive variables like we have password and all, which we do not want to get printed or in our console, so for that purpose you can make use of this and put true. Okay, but here ingress is something like we will be putting port number, then the protocol, all those things. So for that we do not need to make it true. So either you can put false, or by default it is also false. So it is not required. Okay, even if you are putting or not putting, it doesn't make any change. Then the type. Okay, so type is actually the data type. Okay, so it could be list, it could be set, it could be map, or it could be map of object. Okay, so in this case we will be taking map of object. Okay, because we have multiple data, and that too in the key pair value, like description, then from port, to port, protocol, CIDR blocks, right? So these all data are key, and then some values will be there. Key, then some values will be there. So for that purpose, we need to define it in a key value pair. So that's why I am taking this data type, which is map of object. Fine. Then first key we have description. So description will be of string type, right? If you want to check the document, so that also you can refer object data type in Terraform. A string, number, bool, these we already know. Bool is true, false. Complex data type is list, we have seen in for each. Map also we have seen. And now it is object. Okay. So object is nothing but it is just a kind of map, but you will provide the key and then the type of value which will be associated to it. Okay. So let me show you some example here. So yes, so like this, if you have an object, so this is the key and this is of this type. Okay, so this is how it is defined. So description, sorry, I didn't give space here. Why it is giving an error? Just give me a second.
Should be in inverted quotes, right?
Yes, I forgot curly brace. Sorry. Sorry, Reshma, are you asking anything?
No, I was saying, should it be like in inverted quotes description?
Yeah. So first key we have is description. Okay. So description should be a string. Then you will does it take a comma? No, right? So we do not need to go. Then we have from port. From port, okay. From port will be like it can be 22, 80. So what is this? This is number, right? Do we have any data type for number? Yeah, so we have number, right? So we can give it. Do not remember anything. Okay, you can always find this document and refer it. Okay, I do not also always remember all the things, whatever data type are available as per requirement, because we are not every day creating the Terraform configuration. Okay, so you will not remember. You will always have to refer. To port will also be number. Then we have protocol. So what is protocol? So protocol can be a string, right? And then we have cider blocks. That too will be a string, right? If you have any confusion, you can go to AWS security group. Okay, see the example. So this is number, this is number. Protocol is TCP. If we talk about cider block, so cider block, give me a second. List of cider blocks. Okay, so it takes cider blocks, but we have cider blocks only. Okay, so we can pass. It will be list of a string value, right? Because cider block is list of ciders, right? The ciders you will pass in what format? In a string format. This is a string, right? So list of a string. Inside a square bracket, we have quotes. So square is for list and then there's quotes for a string. Fine. That's fine. Okay. Cool. Type is defined. Now, if you want to pass some default value, so you can pass it here. Okay. Default value cider block. Suppose I am giving 0.0/. You can put it yes. Let's double sure, make it type equals to object. Just give me a second, guys. I am actually forgetting this. Okay. In fact, we can just have object of this because we do not need curly close. Yeah. Now again do the default. I will just explain you, don't worry. I'm just making things correct first. Okay, the cider block will be how to pass a list of strings? Yes. Now for cider also the block is coming. Control S description. Allow port for public access from port, suppose 22, protocol TCP to port 22. Okay, so this is default value, but in this case we do not have to pass the default value, right? Because once it will be 20, once 22, once it will be 80. So we can define it on the command prompt, or we can pass into some other file. Okay, so let me explain you these things first. So as we know, we need a variable with name ingress. So I created variable ingress. Then I have provided the description for this variable block. This is the argument which needs to be passed. It's optional. Okay, you can see. So this is for readability, like what this particular variable is defined for. Then the next thing is type. So what will be the data type? So in this case, it should be object because we need to pass these many things. Okay. So that can only be managed through object. It cannot be managed through list, right? Map can be used, but here is all available object data type in Terraform. So it is best suitable. Okay. So that's why I am taking it. Then another thing is default. So default value is if you are not providing any variable while doing Terraform configuration, Terraform apply, so it always takes the default value. So for that purpose, we configure this default values. But in this case, if we are having 22 only, so it will iterate only once, but we need to provide for 80 and 22. So this default will not work. It will only iterate once. So we should have some mechanism so that for 80 and 22, we have this data. Okay. So let's create a file. Okay. So data, how can you pass? Okay. So you can pass a data like value for a variable in multiple ways. Okay. So this is the document which you can refer. Fine. So how many ways variables can be passed? These are input variables. Whatever we are defining, this is input variable. Output we have already seen. and there is another type is local, that we will see. Okay, so this is input variable. So variable can be passed either through command line. Okay, how can we do that? We will see either through command line or through environment variable or through a file. Okay, so there is like terraform.tf vars file, that is default file where you can pass the value for all of your variables. Okay, or you can customize your files as well. Okay, so these are the ways you can pass the value for your variable. And if you want to check what is the precedence, so this can be asked into interview as well. What is the precedence of variable, like value for a variable? So let's scroll down. So variable definition precedence. So the lowest value is given to environment variables. Then the terraform.tf vars file. So this is the default file, okay, where you can define all values for your variables. Okay, but if you want to create your own set of, like based on your resource, like suppose if I am creating variable for security group, and those variable I want to put into a separate file, like security group.tf vars. Okay, so that also can be created. So if you are creating your customized file and there you are using this auto keyword, okay, in the name of that file, then it will be automatically loaded. If you are not putting this auto, then you will have to pass, when you do Terraform apply, through this command line. Okay, -var -file equals to the file name. Okay, so there are two ways of creating customized files. So one, you can directly write security group.tf vars. Okay, so in that case, that you will have to pass through -var -file command line argument. Okay, if you are putting auto, if you are, this can come into interview. Okay, it is important question, so that's why I am explaining you. So if you are putting this auto, like this is also terraform.tf vars file is one default file, and we have the customized file, and we want it to be loaded automatically, because this file also get loaded automatically. We do not have to pass any argument for -var -file for this particular file. It will be taken automatically. If you want your customized file also to be loaded automatically, the values from that file get used automatically. So in that case, you will have to name your file in such a way, like sg.auto.tf vars, security group.auto.tf vars file. Then you will not have to pass through the command line argument. Okay, is this point clear, guys? It's very important. If any doubt, I will repeat once again. Please tell me.
Can you repeat that last point, Gaurav?
Okay.
This one, that auto.
Yeah. So I am saying that this is a default file. Okay. In this file, you can define value for all your variables which you are defining. Okay. So suppose here I have variables like description. For this ingress, we have description from port to port. We need value for these variables. So those you can define in one centralized variable file, which is terraform.tf vars file. So this is default location for storing your variable provided by Terraform. Okay, if you are defining anything in this particular file, Terraform will automatically load those values. But this is generic file. But if you want to define files, like for VPC, if you have variables, so for that you want to create vpc.tf vars file. If you have RDS, for that you need to define some variables. So you want to create RDS.tf vars file, right? So those files are not default file. Terraform will not understand on its own that, yeah, in this particular file, variables are available. So in that case, you will have to make Terraform understand that this particular file you have to load for values of the variables which I am passing. So you will have to pass that through this argument. But if you do not want to pass any argument, okay, while running Terraform apply, you want your customized file get automatically loaded. So what you can do, you can create the file name in the format, suppose if you have VPC variables and that you want to store in vpc.tf file, so you can do it, name the file as vpc.auto.tf file, and that will be automatically loaded. Okay, you will not have to pass through this argument. Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear now.
Okay. And if we talk about the precedence, okay, so like here we can define variables in different form, right? So same variable, suppose this particular ingress variable can be defined in terraform.tf file also, in security group.auto.tf file also, or somebody is passing through the command line argument -var, and someone is setting the environment variable. Okay, so what will be the precedence if it is at multiple places, this ingress variable? So which value will take place? Okay, which value will have the highest precedence? So this is the order. Okay, so highest priority will be given to the command line argument. If, for example, let me give you a very simple example. For a simple, suppose you are defining a image. Okay, this is the image. Okay, I am taking it from data source, so leave it. Instance type. Okay, I am defining a variable for this. Okay, let me make it variable. Var dot instance type. Var dot instance type. This is the variable from where I will take the value. I am putting here variable. What name I given to this variable? Instance type. I gave the name instance type. Okay, so instance type will be a string. Description, describe your variable, it is optional. I am giving you with this example, I am making it clear. Instance type to be used. Fine. So now I have defined this variable. I am creating a terraform.tf file. Terraform.tf file. Okay, terraform.tf file. So this is default location. Okay, by default it will be loaded. Okay, whatever value you are defining here. So instance type and I am giving value t2.micro. Okay, this is one location. Another file I created, instance type dot tf words. Okay, this is another file I created, instance type dot tf words, and here I am defining instance type as t2.medium. Fine. Now if I will do, let me make this variable for now, comment it to show you the difference. Actually, I need to make some changes in this particular variable, so I will do it later. And variable dot instance type ingress. I have made changes in this, so I will make changes again. For now I am just keeping the old value. Just give me 1 second. So variable is an important concept, so that's why I want to make it very clear. Fine. So let's come to the point. Okay. So I am saying that I have made this, sorry, where it is? Yeah, this instance type a variable. Okay, we are taking it without putting, like, instead of putting the hard-coded value, I have defined a variable, and this is the type. It will take a string type. This is variable I defined, and the value for this particular instance type variable I have in this file terraform.tf was file also, and then the instance type equals to t2.medium in this particular customized file as well, which I created. Okay, so now if I will do terraform apply, sorry, don't do apply, just do plan. CD demo 3 VPC, right? So do Terraform plan. Okay, let it complete. Okay, now come to EC2 section. Just give me a second, guys. I'm getting